Bitcoin is in danger. You might have been hearing about it all over the social media. Bitcoin could fall straight to the 70s, right? I have been warning about this, but let's examine the evidence today of where Bitcoin could go if a crash does happen, which does seem imminent. There are a few warning signs that Bitcoin could go to the 70s, right? You have to be prepared for this. And I'm going to tell you guys what's going to happen with the altcoins as well. So Bitcoin basically has three threats. First of all, I called this out in my Discord about a week ago. Bitcoin is doing this shoulder, head, shoulder here. The neckline, right, it's something like 93.5. We need like a couple of closes below 93.5 to confirm, right? We've just had one. We'll probably get a second one here. But if it doesn't confirm, or even if you get two closes, you could still get a fake out here. Nothing's 100%, right? And bounce. These kind of slow sort of dips makes me think there's a somewhat of a chance we could get a bounce here. See how this shoulder took like something like 2 weeks. This shoulder right now is only like 7 or 8 days. So we might get a bit more symmetry if it's going to be a head and shoulders pattern, right? Takes like 14 days here, takes something like 14 days here. So which means maybe one more bounce. And if it's going to bounce, I'm nominating this 100 to 100K area because that's top of this rising channel. Hit the top of this rising channel. Everyone thinks the bull market is back again, right? When that's the time probably to sell some, lighten the load, and then boom, we go down. That's the scenario would play out if we get confirmed break of the neckline. Right now, it hasn't. Another thing to keep in mind, I have been talking about this big rising channel all along, right? Bitcoin is inside this massive big channel I've marked in yellow. I've spoken about this a lot because Bitcoin has just bounced inside this channel. And you may, if you don't understand charts, you may not understand what I'm talking about here. You might be like, this looks like all over the place. I can show you where the pivot top, pivot bottom, where the logic of why I drew this line. And if you don't believe me, people in my Discord, people who have been following me on social media for the last 2 or 3 months, 3 months, I should say, knows that I called Bitcoin to 94K when Bitcoin was down here, right? I told my Discord, I told the folks many times, it's going to 94K, it's going to 94K. Why is it going to 94K? Because 94K, look at this, is at the top of this channel. See how it wick above and come down, wick above and come back down. This is where 94K is, right? And then basically I was expecting to hit there, wick above to like say 98, 99, 100, then come back down. Now it wicked back up to 108K, right? And now we're just starting to, right, on weekly close, pop this head, look at this, pop this head right back into this yellow zone again. When it does this, it can start doing these ones. And when it does that, right, it can get down to low 80s or even 75K, right? You don't want to, once it breaks out, you want a clean breakout. You don't want it to keep on coming back and flirting and trading inside the big range that it has been in for the last 4 years. I'm going to show you some on-chain evidence. It's not just hocus pocus looking at charts. Oh yeah, charts are never accurate, right? We have some on-chain evidence I'm about to show you as well. And I'll show you why we're targeting this 80 to 75K area if the signal is triggered. I emphasize if the signal is triggered. So far, the signal is not triggered, okay? The way we tell is basically you have the height of the shoulder from the neckline. That's about from say 94K to 108, that's 14K difference. And now when the neckline is broken around 94.4 here, we take another 14K off that, right, as a projected target, right? Remember, price can go beyond the target. So that would be around 80K here, it would be the target. If it hits 80K, right, that would also be between this, see these Fibonacci retrace on the Fibonacci is 83.6 and 80.3. So 80K would be somewhere there as well, be a 50% pullback of this massive move that just happened, so it makes sense as well. You say, what if it goes a little bit further and it goes to like 77, even 74K? That would be a massive blow to altcoins. Altcoins would get murdered. Altcoins, like in that case, Ethereum would go to like 2,800. Altcoins would like go down so much. But let me show you why I came to that conclusion. The realized price, right, of Bitcoin as it's been trading in the price range. Realized price simply means the price that a transaction happened, right? It just means volume. This is not traded on exchange, so they didn't call it volume. They use some fancy, blockchain nerds use fancy words like price realized. Say, for example, if I have Bitcoin and I held it from 78K to 81K to 85K, well, yeah, I'm holding it, but there was no trade, so there was no price realized, right? And if I sold it, say I sold 100K because Pablo has been warning everyone, Bitcoin, it's going to find it very difficult to confirm above 100K. Say I sold it at 100K, there will be a trade. So I sold one Bitcoin, someone bought one Bitcoin. A Bitcoin's price got realized at 100K for one Bitcoin that day, right? And plus all the other trades. But what do we notice here? There's lots of trading from all these prices, all the way from, say, $1,000 up to, say, $30,000, $50,000, right? There's so much trading everywhere. And lots of trading in the 98, 100K area, right? Lots of trading in the 50s, in the 60s. What do we notice here? Nothing. There's nothing. Well, there's tiny, can you see these tiny little yellow dots there, right? There's very little volume between, say, that's 75, even 75 to 73K. There's very little trading, all the way up to 88, 91, right? 94. So what does that tell us? Between 94 and 72, there's almost no trading volume. And look at this, 94. Remember how it keeps on coming back to this area, about 93, 94. This is where the top edge of this yellow zone is, big range I've been talking about. That's the neckline of the shoulder, head, shoulder as well. And also we have, we just seen that between 70, the trading volume that happened between 93K, 92K to 74K all the way down here, right? There's nothing there. There's nothing there. So what does that mean? Let's say you held Bitcoin through the bear market, right? And then you sold Bitcoin at 85K. At 85K, you sold Bitcoin because you think, well, it's ran up from 73K all the way shot to 85K. Can't possibly keep going, right? Even though Pablo told you it's going to go to at least 94K, but he sold it at 85. Then what happens? Then what happens to people who sold, let's say, 1 billion, 2 billion Bitcoins, 5 billion Bitcoins got sold at 85K. What happens to the price at 85K? Those people are going to watch Bitcoin go all the way to 108K and watch all the people on social media talk about how Bitcoin is going to 200K, going to 300K, going to, $1 million. And they think they've sold too early. They think they've completely missed the boat. So they're going to be really worried. They're going to FOMO in. They're going to be like, please, Lord, please pull back to 85K because that's where I sold it. I'll put in $100,000 bid at 85K because they're trying to make up for their mistake. So that's why if you see a lot of selling at 85K, for example, then you're going to try to buy it back at 85K. Psychologically, that's how humans work. So if there was a lot of trading in that area, so all the sellers got screwed because they didn't catch the ride to 108K or 200K, whatever it is, they're going to try to buy it back where they made that mistake. They're going to try to get back into Bitcoin where they sold, which is 85K. That means there would be a lot of buying, a lot of support at 85K. Now, 85K is just a number that I made up to demonstrate you what would happen if people sold at 85K. Let's have a look. Did people sell at 85K? There was nothing. See, this is from 73 onwards. There's almost nothing. Straight up candle, a little bit of trading. In about 5 days, we had gotten up to 90K, right? And then still a little bit of trading here, and then the volume, massive volume comes in above 94K. This is the opposite situation. Between 73K and 53K, we saw lots and lots of volume, lots and lots of trading here. So if you sold here, and you missed the entire run in the 50s of Bitcoin to 108K, you would have been like, oh my God, Bitcoin just doubled without me. It's going to $1 million. It's going to $1 million. I'm such a stupid idiot. I'm going to get back. If you pray to God, if Bitcoin ever gets back to 50K, you're going to get back in. So there's lots of buy orders around here for sure. There's nothing here because nobody sold here. Very few people, we just saw very few people, very few trades were selling here. So maybe these people will come back and try to buy it back here because of FOMO and regret. But that's nothing volume. That's so tiny. When Bitcoin price comes back into that area, it's just gonna, into that 80s area, right? All of the 80s and even 74 and above, it's just gonna slide right through butter, right? Like hot knife through butter. There's no support there. Now, what I'm saying is this. There's still a 50% chance it could bounce, 50% chance it could go down. Most people don't understand what probabilities, and they're like, Oh yeah, so Pablo, you're essentially saying nothing. You're saying it could go up or down. Thanks a lot. No, bro. It's called probabilistic outcome. When it goes up, right, the rewards aren't that high. I'm saying, in my opinion, I think we could get a bounce to, I just showed you at the start of this video, 100K or 101K. It'll hit the bottom of that rising channel and probably bounce back and go sideways. That's what I think would happen if it bounces up, right? So altcoins maybe go up 10%, 15% bounce and then go sideways, right? According to Bitcoin. I'm not expecting Bitcoin to go back into the channel, 108K, 109K, and then keep going, 120K, 130K, at least not right now. Maybe after Trump inauguration, maybe after uncertainty is settled, right? I do expect higher prices for Bitcoin, but not right now. In the other 50% probability, if Bitcoin breaks 92K support, this 93.5, 92K area support, then it could go straight to 74K, right? That probability I just showed you guys is something like 50%. That means that altcoins will get murdered. Alts will just go down 30, 40% or even more, because that's equivalent to a 30% crash in Bitcoin as well. If you're worried about that, then play some defense. At least 50% play defense. At least 50% of the time means we sell at resistance. If you have a coin, you want to take 20% off, shave 10% off, shave 30, 40% off, right? Add resistance and hodl the rest. Hold the spot coin or sell the futures, get out of your futures longs, add resistance. Then that's what I've been doing. But as soon as and you buy at the support levels, not just the first support level, it could smash through that and go to the second support level. I'm going to do another video tomorrow on some big altcoins that I will be buying, that BlackRock is buying, that Donald Trump is buying. Don't miss that episode.